Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. This verse comes from Joshua 1, verse 9. Hello, my name is Lorrius. I'll be your motivational speaker this evening. Tonight I will tell you about my struggles that I faced in life, my faith with God, and the courage that it took to help me overcome these obstacles. About a week or two before I was born, my mom, Marie Lorrius, she suffered a stroke. And during that stroke, during my birth, I was born with a defect. I was born with a bad kidney. One of my kidneys didn't work. So they kept me in the hospital for about, I think, 2 months. And my family, they would pray for me. They'd do everything for me. The church would get together, they would pray for me. And after those 2 months, the doctor said I was cured. But the doctor said, even though I was cured, I'd never be able to play sports. That doctor was wrong again. Now, growing up, I'm the youngest of 8. I have both my parents. My mother's had 4 strokes in her life. My dad has had 2 heart attacks and brain cancer. So I understand what it means to have courage. I have 8 brothers and sisters. And we grew up on Connecticut Avenue in the 80s and 90s. And growing up in those days, it was really hard. There was a lot of drugs, killings, and it was really tough. There was a lot of nights where they didn't pay for the electricity or for heat. So we put all of our clothes on, and we probably be near the oven just to stay warm. When you have 8 kids, it's hard to feed all 8 kids, especially when your family just got to the country. So they had a lot of tough times, but that's how life was. My parents would work a lot, my dad and my mom, because it's where they could provide for us. So as I was growing older, I was raised by my second oldest sister, Nadine. From the time I was born till I think I was about 5 years old, she was the only person I really truly cared for. Everywhere she went, I would go. She'd go to the bathroom, I'd follow her. She'd go to class. She used to go to NCC. I used to go to school with her. Everywhere she went, I'd follow her. I wouldn't speak to no one in the house except for my sister Nadine. And my dad, he's a pastor now, but he was very strict on us. He had this rule. If one person did something in the house, he beat everyone. So every day somebody did something. If you got a B in class, you got to beat him. It didn't matter what you did, he beat everyone. And I was young, but he would still beat me. But my sister Nadine, she would take 2 beatings from me. And that was really hard for her. So after a while, she couldn't really handle that. So I remember this day like it was yesterday. I was 5. And it was 6 o'clock in the morning. And I seen her packing a suitcase. So I went over and I grabbed the bag. I started packing my bag because she was leaving, so I was leaving too. So I'm packing my bag and she's like, you can't go with me. I'm like, why not? You're going. So I started crying. And then I remember that day she told me to promise that I'll never cry again. And she wiped my tears. She gave me a toy from McDonald's, from the Happy Meal. And then she left. And I remember watching her leave. And that was a very tough time for me, especially when you're 5. When you see somebody that means everything to you, just leave. It builds a darkness inside of you. But for a few months, it was pretty bad. I didn't speak to nobody in the house but her anyway, so I didn't speak to nobody at all. Everybody would think something was wrong with me because I didn't speak to nobody in my family. So I remember this was 1992. It was the Barcelona Olympics. And I was watching it, and I was 5, and I'm watching, and I'm like, that's what I want to do with my life. So on that day, I decided I want to run professionally, and I want to run for my country. So every single day, I'd go outside, I'd race cars back and forth, back and forth. My dad would tell me I'm crazy. He beat me a few times because I kept doing it nonstop. But I knew if I could beat a car, then I could beat any human. So that was my motivation, to beat the humans. Now, growing up, just like I was saying, we grew up in a bad neighborhood, so a lot of times you become a product of your environment. I'm not saying that's an excuse, but it's easy to fall into traps and to get in trouble when everybody you know is getting in trouble. So I remember when I was in 6th grade, that was the first time I got arrested. I was with my friends and one of my brothers in the store, and we were stealing. And one of my friends, he left his book bag on the ground. And I saw the owner looking at him, so I went to go get his book bag. And I grabbed the book bag, and the owner grabbed me. And then my friends and my brother left. So then he was like, "Who's the book bag for?" And I told him it was for me. And then I remember that my brother Jeff, he beat me like a slave that day. Wow. My brother Jeff, he used to run track also. He does the CBT. In high school, he did everything for track. He won states, he won New England's. He was my role model when I was growing up. Even though I get in trouble a lot, he would always try to keep me on the right direction. Because he was so good at track and he was so good to me, I felt it was only right for me to continue to follow in his footsteps. Now, after Jeff went to college, that kind of fell apart. Around freshman year in high school, I tried out for my high school team. And I have, like, everybody in my family ran track. All 8 of us. And everybody was good. So they knew about my family and they knew about my brother. So the coach, he would push me extra hard. We'd finish practice, he'd make me run an extra 3 miles. And it's like, growing up the way I wasn't taking that. So I quit the team, and I didn't run track up until senior year. Senior year, I remember we used to race in the hallway for money. We'd race against the soccer players, the football team, the other track people. And I would beat everybody, and I wasn't running track. Those are like a lot of fun times, but I was still getting in trouble in school. I was getting suspended at least twice a month. I would always get in trouble because I like to talk a lot in class. And I would constantly get in trouble, So I remember my mom told me that she was going to move me with my sister, Nadine, the one that ran away. She was going to move me there to Florida. So I told her, I was like, give me one more chance. She was like, you have to do something. So I decided to try out for the track team again that senior year. It was a great senior year. I mean, I went all-state. I did FCX. I did all that stuff. I failed off the team 3 times, but it was still a good year. After that, I decided that I wasn't going to go to college. I decided instead that I was going to go to mechanic school. So I went to Porter and Chester. At Porter and Chester, I was fixing cars. I was doing all these things, but I still had the dream in my heart. I remember I told my teacher one time, I was like, I'm going to finish school, then I'm going to go to college. I'm going to run track in college. Then I'm going to make money, and then I'm going to open my own car dealership. Of course, he thought I was crazy, but I wasn't crazy. I was serious. Around that time, after going to Porter and Chester, around that time I was playing basketball. I played basketball for like around 4 years. I was playing basketball. I was working at Target, and I was going to NCC in Norwalk. So it's like my focus was no longer track. It was in my mind, but I had other things going on. It wasn't until my friend right there, Stenson Jean-Baptiste, he went to Southern. He was an All-American at Southern, and I saw how much he progressed at the school. I mean, mind you, I hated Southern, but I was like, they have such a great track program. I was like, I have to go there. I have to try out. I was like, because he's doing so great, I was like, I could do the same thing. So I applied. I got to Southern. And for the first, I think, 2 months, I tried out for the team. Every day I worked hard, every single day. And every single day I felt like I wanted to quit. I used to call my brother up every day and tell him I want to quit. But he'd tell me every single day that I shouldn't quit. So every single day I go back, and every single day I come back and I complain to him every single day. But around the time I started actually getting the hang of it, I remember this day like it was yesterday. I was walking with Stenson to practice, and it was the first day we were going to do speed training. I had my spikes, and I was ready to go. And then the coach called me, and he told me that my eligibility was messed up. He said I took too long in mechanic school and at NCC. So he said I used up all my time to run in college. So he said I couldn't run in college. So that was very devastating for me. And about a week later, my uncle that was living with me, my Uncle Lucien, he died like the following week. So that hit me even harder. And about a week after that, one of my friends from our neighborhood, a longtime friend, he committed suicide. That was another tough time. And then 2 weeks after that, another friend of mine had a heart failure. And then it keeps getting worse. At that time, I was dating a girl, and I was going through depression, and she felt like I wasn't good enough for her anymore. So she decided to leave me too. So around that time, I was depressed. I remember there'd be a few times I would be at college and I would be so depressed, I would drink alcohol and go out running, and then I'd end up in the middle of nowhere. I would hear stories about how the Southern team is doing so good, and it's like, I wanted to be a part of it, but I couldn't. And it hurt so much to see everybody succeed and do good right in front of your face when you know you could be better than all of them. And it hurt a lot. But that's around the time I began to pray more and became closer to God. And that's when my courage really began to kick in. So every single day, I trained by myself. I would work hard every single day. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have anybody to tell me, you have to do this, you have to do that. I was doing everything on my own, and it was very hard. I would work to the point of death sometimes. I'd lay on the ground after practice, and I'd ask myself, do I really want it? But it's like, in my mind, I have nothing to lose. In my mind, I was a nobody. So I would work hard. So when the season came, you could run as an individual. So I started running in open meets, and I started beating a lot of good people. So right when I started doing that, the Southern coach was like, he's going to try to do something. He's going to try to get me back on the team. So they tried again, and it was a failure again. Now this one hit even harder because it was like, now I completely have nothing. It's like, I tried twice, and both times I couldn't run for the school. So around that time, one of my friends that used to go to the school, my friend Roman, he said he was going to join a track club. And he told me it was Zenith Velocity. Now, if you run track, you know Zenith Velocity. They're that team that everyone's afraid of. Because they have some of the best runners in the world. They have runners from every single country. Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Trinidad, United States. They have a lot of the best runners in the world. So he told me he was going to train with them. So I told him, who do I contact? So he told me to contact the coach, Trevor Green. So when I contacted Trevor Green, I told him I wanted to run for him. He told me I wasn't good enough. So every day for about a month, I would bother him every single day. I'd tell him to give me a chance every single day. I'd send him at least 50 Facebook messages. Because it's like, I have nothing anyway. So I might as well keep trying. So every single day. Finally, he was like, you are the most persistent person I've ever met in my life. He said, you might not be that good, but he said, I could tell you work hard. Because you really want it bad. So he gave me an opportunity, and that's when the hard work really began. I remember every single week, you have to do 4,000 push-ups every single week and 4,000 sit-ups. So that's 600 every day. So every day I'd wake up at 6 in the morning, and this is while I'm at school. I wake up at 6 in the morning, I'd do like 300. I'd go to class at 8. I'd be in class from 8 to 12. I'd take the train from 12 to 1 to Stanford. And then I'd drive to practice, which would be in New Jersey. I'd practice from 5 to 8. And then I'd take the train home. And then I'd take the train home. I used to get home by 11 or 12 every single day. So the day would start at 6, and this was every single day. And the thing is, the day was long, but the practice is even worse. Because you're running with the best runners in the world now, and the coach is crazy. These workouts make no sense. There'd be a lot of times I'd be laying on the ground, and it's like I'm questioning whether I want to do track anymore. The first day I got there, I finished doing the warm-up, and I told coach that was a great practice, and he laughed at me. He said, that's just a warm-up. So it was such a struggle, like you couldn't even imagine. It was amazing, but every time I lay on the ground, he said, laying on the ground is not going to get you nowhere. He said, you got to have courage to get back up. And I would remember that every time he say that. So as that was going on, I kept getting stronger, I kept getting better, and the season came, and it was quite a season. Just like they were saying before, we ran the 2nd fastest time in the world for the 4x2, the 4th fastest time, the 9th fastest time, and the 39th fastest time. Now, when you're not used to doing anything like that, to be around the best runners in the world is weird. Because you're excited and happy, but you can't show it. Because they're going to think you're weird. But it was such a crazy experience. And I remember the first time I got a chance to race my first Olympian. He's on my team. and I was sitting in the cafeteria with my friends, and we're eating dinner, and my coach sent the message on Facebook. He said that I'm going to race Joel this week. He's from Grenada. And I went from laughing, and my face went like this. I was so serious. I was so excited, and I was ready to beat him. Because this is the same guy on the team that criticizes everything I do. So I don't really like him that much. So he was the person I really wanted to beat. So I remember when we finally raced, and I beat him. I beat my first Olympian, and that was probably one of the craziest things in the world for me. Like, I felt like I couldn't breathe. Later on in the year, I remember I raced against a guy that has the record for Haiti, and then I beat him too. And then after I beat him, I still can't understand how all this could happen. Whenever I go to the track, I'm not afraid to race anyone. Because I believe if you work hard enough at anything and you believe in God, you shouldn't be afraid of anything. You got to have courage. So whenever I get on the track, you could be the best person in the world. It doesn't bother me at all. You come here to race, you come here to race. So that was one of the craziest years of my life. And I remember that same meet that I beat the best person from Haiti that has the record, that was the same meet I qualified to run for Haiti and Mexico. So I contacted Haiti to send them my flight stuff, and they wouldn't respond. And they just wouldn't respond. I waited like 2 weeks. Every day I'm stressing. They wouldn't respond. So then I spoke to my agent, and then I talked to him like, I need to do something. I was like, I feel like I'm going to cry because these people don't want to respond to me. So he said he'll take care of it. He told me that at midnight. At 7 o'clock the next morning, I got an email from Haiti. And they gave me my flight patterns. And right when I got to the airport, this is a funny story, I don't think my family even knows. I got to the airport, and I scanned my ticket, and they said it was reserved, but the ticket was never paid for. Now I was really stressing out. So I'm at the airport, I'm waiting, and one of my teammates is there with me from Haiti. And I'm just sitting there, I'm praying. I'm like, God, please don't do this to me right now, not right now. So I was so scared. But it's like, when you believe in God so much, it's like you become calm in the bad situations. Just like with the strokes and the heart attacks, it's like you become calm. If you really believe in God, nothing should really scare you or budge you. So I contacted Haiti, and they were like, they had to make sure that I was coming because that's happened to them before. People would say they're coming, they pay for the ticket, and the people wouldn't show up. So that's like $900 because they paid first class. So I got my ticket, I went to Mexico, and it was the craziest experience. The way they treat you, it was amazing. It's like I went from being Steven, the kid at home, que hablaba de eso, and they treat you like a celebrity. It's like when you're not used to it, it amazes you, and it's like you appreciate how much God has done for you. And it's like I'm still in shock about all the stuff that's happened this year. Because I came here last year, and I told most of these kids that I was going to run for Haiti, and then I did it. So honestly, as long as you believe in God, nothing's impossible. I remember in Mexico, we were sitting at the table, we were at a lunch, and it was all the best runners that were there. So we're sitting at a table, and one of the guys that runs for Jamaica, he's a hurdler. Now, I used to see him at Stanford High every single day that I practiced. I'd be by myself training, or I'd be with my friends. So we're sitting at the table, and then he just stops everyone. He's like, everybody listen up. He said, you see that kid over there? So everybody's looking around, and I'm looking around. I'm looking. I don't know what he's talking about. He's like, yeah, you. He said, I saw this kid say every single day he would work hard. He told me he was going to run for Haiti, and look at him. A year later. And that really touched me, and it's like you realize the power of God when those type of situations happen like that. And I feel so blessed. Throughout the whole experience, I learned that God had a plan for me. Although I dealt with a lot of struggles, it took the faith in God to really help me overcome all those obstacles. It took a lot of sacrifices from my family, my friends, supporters. There's a lot of supporters in here. And it's like everything worked out. Although it's just the beginning and I still have a lot of work to do, this is just like the first chapter in all of it. But it took a lot a lot of courage and faith in God for all this to happen. So never forget to be strong. Never be discouraged. Be courageous, because God will be there wherever you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Stephen Lorrius, for such an inspirational story. Hope everyone could